Why are more parents choosing to homeschool in 2025? Oh, you are not going to want to miss this. Hi, my name is Cheryl, and I'm probably a lot like you, a hesitant homeschooler. I never envisioned myself homeschooling my kids. I had a cushy government job. I was ready to get that pension when I was 60, but here I am, left the job. I'm homeschooling the kids, and I'm going to tell you why. I started a podcast 2 years ago interviewing homeschooling families because I just couldn't grasp what this actually looked like, but I knew we didn't fit into the traditional school setting. So I set out on a journey to learn all I could about homeschooling. And after 2 years and talking to over 100 homeschooling families, I'm here to tell you now everything I have learned. All right, let's dive into this. Why are more parents deciding to homeschool in 2025 than ever before? Well, let's start out with shelter-in-place drills. Okay, so there's like the reason for the shelter-in-place drills, and none of us want that to happen, right? But the fact of just having a shelter-in-place drill on its own is traumatic enough, okay? So doing that, I just did not want my child a part of it. They do them every month in some schools, and I know they're necessary, I suppose. I've actually talked to school resource officers that say that like kids would kind of know what to do. As long as the teachers knew what to do, you actually don't have to have the drill involving the young ones. So, these are hard. Do we want to send our 6-year-olds into basically training them for military combat? No. So I'm going to keep them home where I know they're kind of safe. At least I can keep them safe. If the government comes with like a hurricane or a wildfire, I don't know. At least I'm there to protect them for that. All right. Parental rights are being undermined in the school systems. So schools are kind of going behind the parents' backs these days. Everything from if your kid wants to be called a different name, a different pronoun, a different gender, the teachers are going along with it and completely leaving the parents out of this. Is that okay with you? I don't know. Some people say yes, but I think I kind of want to know about it. And now they're even administering or recommending puberty blockers and other medical interventions without parental consent. I'm in New York, and they have actually passed that law. It's going through the process. It passed certain areas, and it's not happening to my kid. Sorry, it's my kid. I had him. I get to say. All right, parents feel that their voices are just being silenced regardless about their decisions for vaccines, for health, for the curriculum, masking. I mean, I know most places aren't masking today, but they were, and they were completely leaving out the parents, what the parents wanted for their kids. If the parents didn't want to mask them, they masked them anyway. I mean, it's ludicrous. So they're really blocking out the parents from having sort of any say in their children, what's going on in their day-to-day, and that's not cool with me. That's not cool with a lot of parents. Curriculum concerns. They're introducing this gender ideology, same-sex relationships, and sensitive topics at ages that parents just might not feel it's appropriate at that age. And then, you get classified as you're like against all that stuff when you're really just saying like, maybe not at 8 years old. All right. Maybe they could just play. Everybody could just play at 8. That would be nice. Maybe learn a little math, little bit of arithmetic and some writing, and not have to learn about different genders. They are also over-relying on screens in school. If you're not in it, you don't really know, but I've talked to a lot of teachers that say that, yeah, they are heavily relying on screens, both for learning and for testing now. So this is leading to an increased concerns over screen time and its effects on mental health and physical health. Comparisons to international education systems. School starting age. Many European countries, for instance, Finland, they don't even start formal education until age 7. They just focus on play and early development. So, using your hands, the motor skills, the fine motor skills, and just kind of grasping concepts. It's not learning math and learning how to read. In the United States, we start as early as 4 years old, sometimes 3. I feel like we have a preschool program where they can be 3, maybe 4 years old, but they're there all day long, every day. So this pushing the academic work at younger ages, I mean, I have my own theories about why they do it, but it's not healthy for our children. This time is just for them to play, explore, learn about the world around them in their own terms. School hours and play. Countries like Finland prioritize shorter school days and more outdoor play, while the US emphasizes long hours and limited recess, and the recess times are getting shorter and shorter. I've talked to so many teachers on my podcast that complain about this. Even if they are outside for every day, the amount of time that they're out there is getting shorter and shorter. So if it used to be an hour of recess, now it's about 15 minutes. And there's just not enough time for them to actually delve into that creative side that makes recess time worthwhile. So yes, they might be getting 15 minutes of some fresh air, but it takes them about 15 minutes for them to even find something interesting to them. And then another 15 minutes for them to sort of explore what that is. Is it a puddle? Is it a pile of snow? Is it a bird's nest? And then another 15 minutes for them to actually start developing some sort of creative thought behind it. What could I use this for? What could we do with it? And then another 15 minutes for them and their friends maybe to all have sort of like a full-on play of what is going on in their own little world, their own little languages and rules to it. So 15 minutes outside is just not enough. And especially when you're talking about 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds. All right, issues with standardized testing. I have a big issue with standardized testing. Do you? All right, teaching to the test. Schools in the U.S. focus heavily on standardized testing. Testing stifles the creativity in the classroom. It's prioritizing the test score over actual learning. And it links the school to funding and performance, creating this immense pressure on students and teachers. So this age standardized learning is also a problem. So not only are we testing the kids, but we're saying everybody that's age 7 has to be around everybody else that's age 7 and learn the exact things that we teach everybody at age 7, and then we're going to test you on it. And we're going to teach it to you in the most boring way possible from this textbook and with a worksheet. Come on, people. You couldn't get any more creative than that. It is not like this in other countries. I just had a woman on my podcast who grew up going to school in her younger years in Japan. And when she came to the United States to finish out her years of schooling, she could not wait to get out of school. She loved learning in Japan. She hated it here in the States. And a lot of that was because everything was tied to this testing. There was no creativity around what you get to learn and how you get to learn it. It's just, this is what it is and this is what must be done. I think that scares homeschoolers the most, the parents of homeschoolers, is that, you don't want your child left behind. But think about what that actually means to you. Behind what? I mean, does it measure the success in their life because they didn't learn trigonometry or, dissect a frog in 9th grade? No, I mean, if that's not relevant to their interests, it's probably not going to be relevant to whatever they do to make money as an adult. And why do we rely so heavily on what you learn in school is what you're going to do as an adult for money? I mean, we hope that what you love to do is also a need in the world and can make some money, but there's lots of other things that you can discover in your childhood and move forward with as a passion in life that isn't tied to like bringing in an income. Yes, you need to bring in an income, but if you discover, I just really like art, I just really like painting, or maybe there's a particular kind of artwork that you like to do as a hobby, or maybe you just like to read certain philosophers and you're not going to be a philosopher for your career, but you enjoy philosophy. School limits us on that. They might expose you to a little bit, but they don't give you the time to really explore it further. So maybe you're missing that opportunity as an adult that you would have had you been a homeschooler, if you had the time to say, oh, I read Socrates and I really like that concept. Let me learn more about it now. That's something a homeschooler gets. And kids in public school just don't have the time with 9 classes a day and then homework, usually a sport. It's just impossible to make it all work. So that's also, I don't know if that's where this bullet point was, but it should be in here if it's not. Now we also have the teachers' challenges. Teacher burnout. Oh my God, teachers are overworked and underpaid. They are struggling to meet the growing demands of the system. There's also lower standards for teachers. There are some states that have reduced the requirements for the teaching certifications to combat teacher shortages. This is raising concerns about the quality of the education that they are able to provide. In New Jersey, they just passed a law that you don't need to take a basic reading, writing, or math test, just a basic literacy test, to be qualified as a teacher. Now, you do still have to get your degree in whatever you're teaching, but it begs the question of then why did you have to get rid of this test? That they found the test to be a barrier to getting teachers into the field. So they removed the test as a requirement to be a teacher in New Jersey, and they're hoping this combats teacher shortages. So that's definitely a rising concern, and it also leads into if they think we're not smart enough to teach our own kids because we don't have a teaching degree, now you don't even need a basic literacy test. I have had so many teachers on my podcast that have left teaching to homeschool their kids or still teach but choose to homeschool as well. And they talk about this all the time, that they're just being bombarded with guidelines that they have to meet. They can't teach in a creative way like they once were able to. They have to teach very strict, rigid curriculum and a certain way. And it's just, when you think about learning, that's just not how it should be, nor is that how a childhood should be. All right, so let's talk about childhood. The shift to child-centered education. There needs to be more time in nature and more time with play. Parents are realizing that children thrive when they spend more time outdoors, engaging in hands-on and play-based learning. So what is play-based learning? You can give your child a stick and say, go in that pile of sand and write me the letter A. And they do that, and then write me the letter B. So, this is just play-based learning. Or take this Play-Doh and make a letter A out of it. This hands-on learning where they can actually touch and feel and create it themselves. Or even, let's go through the house and find a letter A, make a game out of it. And all this stuff is just so much better than, here's your worksheet, draw an A for me 50 times. Research shows that unstructured play is critical for creativity, problem solving, and emotional well-being. I got into it just a few minutes ago when I was talking about how long it takes for you to actually get into creative play. And it is so good for the brain that, and nothing compares. There's nothing in a textbook can do to compare to what's going on in the brain with the synapses and just different chemicals releasing when you are actually able to fully engage in that play. Self-directed learning. Homeschooling allows children to pursue their interests at their own pace. So if you need a little bit more time with 2 + 2 or what division is, you have that time. And if you want to move right along and skip 3 grades ahead, you can do that too. You can dive deeper into topics that you're actually passionate about rather than following a rigid curriculum because, this is what you learn in 3rd grade and every 3rd grader is gonna learn it right from this textbook. If you want to talk about World War II, you can spend a whole month on that, and you can incorporate math, reading, writing, geography, English, phonemic awareness, and science and technology, and all this stuff can be centered around one topic, World War II, or monster trucks. Your kid's probably going to choose monster truck. Homeschooling allows for strengthening of the family connections by spending more time together. And what better way than playing board games? We play so many games here where my 6-year-old son just loves them. And my 2-year-old, it's not really easy for her to join in right now, but as she gets older, it's going to be just such a fun way to do things like you can incorporate math, strategy is always involved. There's games for reading, writing, history. There's so many games, and I have a video coming out also about different games and how to know what the right ones to pick for the subjects you want to teach and how to pick the ones that your kids are actually going to want to play. But that is all part of the family bonding. Freedom and flexibility. Families can travel, they can follow unique schedules or integrate life skills into their daily learning. You want to take a month and go on an RV trip? By all means, if you've got the money and time, go do it and make homeschooling every part of it and in a fun way. I mean, how fun would it be to just take a tent, go to a campground, and explore different animal tracks or scat, which is just animal poop. But, and discover, what did this come from? Okay, well, what animal would be out here right now? Well, what do they eat? How do they care for their young? How long is their gestation period? What is their mating process? Do they lay eggs, or do they, have the baby? How long does the baby stay with them? What is the baby able to eat? And where do they nest, or how do they hibernate? All this stuff from just that one little trip camping, or even just a walk in the park. It's all around you. It's so much easier than it seems, I promise you. And customized education. You can tailor the learning experience to meet each child's strengths, weaknesses, and interests. I was talking to a woman on my podcast, Lori Hammer, and her daughter is graduating soon, and she is all about horses. So she knows that what she wants to do is going to be train horses. She spends a majority of her time now training horses and working with horses. She's able to travel to do the different tournaments because she's homeschooled, and she doesn't need to know trigonometry. She doesn't need to be college ready because she knows what she wants to do already, and it doesn't need a college degree. So that's another thing. If you don't need the college degree for what you want, maybe don't go to college, or just work on a 2-year. And you can definitely still go to college if you are homeschooled. I have a video all about that coming out too. So make sure that you turn on the notification bell, because you're going to want to hear that one. Safer environment. It's clear. Many parents are seeking to avoid bullying, peer pressure, and other social challenges found in the traditional school setting and the shelter-in-place drills. I have a big problem with those. Can you tell? All right. Here's what I would like you to do. I would like you to realize that the world is changing, and parents are recognizing that the traditional school system no longer meets their values, priorities, or their children's needs. Homeschooling offers the freedom to create a personalized, family-centered, and effective education experience for the kids and for the adults. I have learned more in my 2 years of homeschooling and interviewing homeschoolers than I learned in 17 years of formal education. Yes, that would be 12 years of grade school, a year of kindergarten, and 4 years for my bachelor degree. And I've learned more in 2 years from children's books and reading the Tuttle Twins books, just talking with people, than I have in all of my formal education. So I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss my upcoming content. And don't forget to check out the Homeschool How-To podcast, interviews with homeschoolers, so you can hear firsthand what a homeschooling day looks like.